Say what you gotta say the first time, not the next time. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Corey J, here for another episode of To Be Frank, the podcast. This is truly a great season, and we're gonna keep bringing y'all great people, frankly speaking. I'm really excited about today's special guest. This guy, he and I have been friends, family, for 2 decades now. This man, I call him the real life Kyle Barker. Like, if you love Living Single, like that was my show. And I'm telling you, this man has the debonair, the suave, the words, the intellect, like everything. And one of my dream things is, frankly speaking, to see him and TC Carson on one stage, like holding a panel discussion. I don't know, just doing spoken word. I don't know. It don't matter. That's like one of my biggest dreams, like to see them both at the same time doing their thing. Like these brothers, A1. TC Carson, if you're watching, look, I'm watching you. I need this to happen. So enough of me looking forward to TC Carson. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome today's special guest, Dr. Aaron J. Kimble. Dr. K, what's up, Doc?
Oh my goodness, that introduction was everything. Listen, I had to start looking around for somebody else. I'm like, is he talking about me? I'm somebody else in the room.
It's definitely you. Definitely you. You know, that's all the time. I'm like, every time I see TC Carson, I mean, he played the I don't know what out of that Kyle Barker role, but my goodness, like y'all just outside of his role, like y'all still have the same demeanor. Like it's bananas. Like it's crazy, but y'all some A1 brothers can't touch y'all. But anyway, let me get off of my box. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Any day above ground is a good day, so I'm doing
Amen.
well.
Amen. That's the truth. Well, first and foremost, on behalf of the To Be Frank fam, I want to thank you for being featured on our podcast. We know you have some golden nuggets that you're gonna share with us today. So, viewers, I have a random theme for every episode. So this one is called Psychologically Speaking. So Dr. Kimble and I, we have been acquainted, friends, fam 2 decades now. Yeah. And we don't look at. I know you don't have to tell us. You don't have to put in the comments. I know, but we've been shooting marbles the whole nine, long time. Um, we're from a hometown. Y'all know. I ain't even need to say it. The Big O. And fun fact: he and I have the exact same birthday, different year, same birthday. Now, who's older, more seasoned? We don't know. We're gonna let y'all just stay in mystery trying to figure that out. But that's just a little background of Dr. K. Dr. K, I'll go ahead and let you formally introduce yourself to our viewers.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. So, as the talented, the spiritually guided, so many accolades as Mr. Corey J. Frank just said. I'm Dr. Aaron J. Kimble. I am, oh gosh, a clinical therapist by trade. I focus heavily on behavior as well as sex therapy, which is, a passion. I also focus on trauma and it's this has been a crazy, crazy, crazy ride in this psychological world and this therapy world, and I'm just so thankful for having me on. I really, really appreciate that, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about some things that are, hitting close to home for a lot of people.
Most definitely. Well, thank you for that introduction. And yes, we are definitely gonna get some nuggets out of you today. So first things first, Dr. K, tell us what brought you into your field. What was your key motivation? What is your key drive? Like what mainly brought you to your field?
Absolutely, I went batshit crazy. No, 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 really, and truthfully, truthfully, I benefited. I'm a person who has benefited significantly from uh, being a therapist, but also from having great therapy. My therapist is an amazing, amazing person, and I have been able to, take some wisdom and guidance from her, both and apply that to my life, and then of course, do the same thing in my own therapy practice. So,
Mm.
with that, it's the reason why. I really and truthfully admire people who are able to go to therapy and say, I want to change my life. I want to fix my life. I want to heal. I want to stop those, those generational curses. I want to be someone who shows up healthy in a relationship.
Good.
So yeah, that's what I was able to do, and because I was able to do that and bring that to her, you know, she guided me and said, "Hey, I think that you would be a good therapist." And
Come on.
you know, 5 years later, here I am. 6 years
Come
later,
on.
here I am.
Salute to that. So major salute. And therapists matter. And one of the key things that I want to start out today's dialogue with is the importance of therapy, especially in Black men. We know just in the Black family, period, oftentimes is you hear the saying, oh, he just crazy. Oh, nothing wrong with him. Oh, he just, having an attitude or whatnot. When in actuality, it's emotions that are being suppressed.
Hmm.
Dr. K, tell us how important it is for men to condone in not only having therapy, but scheduling regular sessions.
Absolutely. We are taught to be manly, to be masculine, to
Hmm.
be macho. We are taught by a lot of people, and I even heard Steve Harvey say this morning. Men are actually taught to provide and protect and to lead and so on and so forth. But rarely do we have the opportunity to say, I'm hurting, or I need help, or I need to be loved, or I need to cry. I
Hmm.
need men to help me to to be a better man. Rarely do we have this opportunity. We shoulder a lot of responsibilities.
Right.
I always think about emotions, and I tell my clients this, I tell my friends this. I think about emotions as have you ever, boiling water, for those of you who cook, uh, you know, you're boiling water. And what happens if you're just boiling water and you put the lid on the pot? Well,
Hmm.
eventually it begins to bubble up.
Right.
And so, just like men, if you press things down or push things down for quite some time, kind of
Hmm.
like that pot, it eventually begins
Right.
to come up. And the air needs to breathe, and so do your emotions. They need to breathe. I told that to one client, and he told me, "Oh, well, we have he's got a little bit of money. He's like, oh, we have the heavy pot, so they don't boil over." I said, "Oh, excuse me."
Okay.
Yeah, but realistically, we our emotions need to have an outlet. It needs to come out,
Mhm.
and if they don't come out, they are going to come out. If they don't come out in one way, they're going to come out in a different way. And we
Right.
see that oftentimes as domestic violence situations. We see it as angry outbursts. We see it as men joining gangs. We see it as men, um, you know, just needing to be accepted and be loved. But
Right.
it's also a form of their emotions being able to be expressed. So they have to come out some kind of way.
That is a definite because I know that for me personally, growing up, it's like I felt, especially in, we're gonna really go in in the
Mhm.
church environment. It's
Yeah.
like it's told, oh, you pray and all of that stuff. You don't need no therapy. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
feel that, one of the things in the culture that I'm in right now, the church culture that I'm in right now, our pastor constantly reminds us that it's okay to have a prayer life along with therapy, and I don't think that people think that that's, some people still on, oh, well, you wasting, your money by giving your money, to somebody. And saying all to say is that I feel, and this is me, my personal opinion, frankly speaking, this is me,
Mhm.
I feel that having your relationship with God is very important. And I do feel that He has made therapists to be present, to be those
Mhm.
divine individuals for you to talk to that you're not comfortable with talking with a family member or a friend about.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm telling this complete stranger about um my personal problems, when in actuality you are the one who that chooses your therapist.
Mhm.
So, saying all that to say, Dr. Kate, I want you to elaborate and tell us, what is the process that you recommend for individuals in choosing a therapist that matches their character slash personality?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Before I even answer that question, I want to say this. We spend so much money on so many things. We spend money on
Right.
cars, on jewelry, on trips, and
Mhm.
all those things.
Right.
Oftentimes, we don't spend, specifically men, and
Mhm.
specifically Black men.
Right.
Oftentimes, we don't spend money on ourselves, and I'm talking about the healing component of ourselves.
Right.
Health is both mental, physical, spiritual, as you mentioned, Corey. So I
Mhm.
think we need to be able to illustrate that it's an investment when you do.
It is. It is most definitely.
Yeah. And so I'll answer that question though. When you are looking for a good therapist, what it's important for you to do is, and I always do this with my clients, 10 to 15 minutes
Mm.
oftentimes gives you an opportunity to know what that therapist is about. Um, Ask them questions, ask them what uh, their theoretical nature is, ask them how they handle conflict, ask them
Mhm.
what the sessions are going to how the sessions are going to be focused and geared, because
Mhm.
it allows you to get a picture and a glimpse of how that therapist will actually be able to help you, to help guide you. And I want to make that clear as well.
Mhm.
We're here to guide.
Right.
We don't necessarily tell you, hey, you should do this and this. We're here to guide and we're here to help,
Mm.
and oftentimes we're also here to bring out some things in you that you may not have known were in you.
Right. That's deep. That is really deep. Now, let's go back on the investment portion.
Mhm.
Some people, are like, oh, just like how you mentioned, you can spend money on all these material possessions, but you're not wanting to focus well, set aside money rather to ensure that your mental health is okay.
Mhm.
There's individuals out there that cannot afford a
Mhm.
therapist. What is a good outlet for those that they can't afford it, they know they need it, but what route should they take in order to still take advantage of resources that are possibly available in the area?
Absolutely, the best friend of any person seeking therapy is going to obviously be social media, Google. There are people like myself
Mm-hmm.
that actually advertise doing some community work where we're offering free therapy services, which I've done and will continue to do,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. So I feel as though this is, something that we actually can take advantage of in the community by basically just logging onto your phone. Most
Right.
people have social media, and so do it. And I want to say something else real quickly.
Go for it.
Um, I don't know about you, but I've never in my life seen so many track stars. Let me explain what I mean by that. We got
Mm-hmm.
some track stars out here, honey. We got people who will, to your point, get these nice houses and cars and
Mm-hmm.
clothes and things of that nature. Um, Beautiful presentation. We got 30,000 degrees, real
Mm-hmm.
talk. I'm one of them, you know, and all of these things, but we run away from the very thing that we need to invest in, which is our mental health and our peace and our spiritual health.
Okay.
And when I mean run, I'm not talking about a slow jog, y'all. I'm talking about a sprint. Like we running.
Race Olympics.
Right. And I want you guys to get this, because so many people who are out here who are hurting and who can't say, hey, guess what? I need help. And so again, to your question earlier, look on social media. Many therapists who are actually offering community health services. Sometimes your insurance will pay for it if you have insurance for free therapy, as well as people like myself who will have random 3 or 4 sessions with people who unfortunately cannot afford it, but you know we want to be able to provide that service um, to the community.
And we definitely appreciate you for that. And I wanna go ahead and continue the discussion in reference to you referencing track stars. So there's so many that's out there that are really, really, really running, from
Mhm.
this whole process of coping, you know. And
Mhm.
I feel that when it comes to coping mechanisms, that really is a thing. People really don't feel coping mechanisms is really a thing. Could you expound a little on coping mechanisms and the reference towards it? Because folks don't really they. I feel that that applies with the whole track star concept that you're speaking of. So I'll go
Yeah.
ahead and let you go in.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of us are we've learned to avoid. We've learned to, as you mentioned earlier, suppress. We've learned um, to sex our pain away. We've learned to shop our pain away. We've learned to work our pain away. We've learned to work out our pain away. You know, the great prophetess Solange said all of these. She,
Yes, come on, Solange. Come on.
yeah, we've learned to do all of those things to avoid pain, and we haven't learned how to cope. And it's so important to learn how to cope, I believe, because we're in a day and age when trauma is consistent, especially um, trauma within our communities, within the Black communities, consistent trauma, racial trauma, sexual trauma, family trauma, all those traumas, trauma waking up, gun violence trauma, all of those things, relationship trauma. So it's important for us to be able to recognize what that trauma is, what our triggers are, and then be able to say, okay, this is how I want to deal with these traumas that are coming up in my life. It may be, anywhere from journaling
Hmm.
to seeing a therapist to running to being able to, once those things come on, what you're saying to yourself is, yes, it may come on. Yes, I may feel trauma. Yes, I may feel pressure or anxiety. However, I have a dedicated way in order to handle this. I have a dedicated way to be able to say, this is not going to overtake me.
That's good. That's really, really good. So, Dr. K, I want to address um, those that are currently healed from a traumatic situation,
Mm.
though they still want to get into having a therapist, just to ensure that they're okay. Is this a healthy practice or not?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I call it a tune up. Amen.
Okay.
you know, we, we have to go in sometimes to get a tune up in our cars and make sure that everything is running correctly. I think it's important for us. And, you actually taught me this. We have a journey of healing.
Hmm.
Healing isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Come
So,
on.
in that particular journey, you are continuously being tried, you're continuously having triggers. It's okay for you to, if something comes up from your past that and you get triggered by it, to have a reaction.
Hmm.
You're a human being, allow that to happen. Um, but I do want to say that it's a journey. So within that journey, you're going to have ups and downs. But that's how
Right.
you know that you're alive. If you find yourself, at a space where you are in the healing process and you feel like you're doing better, your coping mechanisms are working, so on and so forth, man, go in for a check in once a month, once
Yeah.
every other month, and see how things are going. You know, give some perspectives to your therapist and allow them to assist you in, or assist you in making certain decisions. I'll give you a good example. For
Hmm.
me, I'm battling in purchasing a home right now.
Okay.
Thing. I'm calling my therapist. Look, hey, look, my decision making skills are good, but
Yeah.
they're not the best. They're not
Right.
perfect. So
Right.
I
Right.
want to make sure that I'm being guided by, my therapist. So
Gotcha. 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 Okay. So y'all heard it first. Dr. K said it's healthy for you to get your tune up. So don't think that it's not okay. It's okay. So I want to switch the table just a little bit and talk about temptation versus trauma.
ooh.
Um, so some people don't have traumatic, they're not dealing with traumatic experiences at all. They're just
Mhm.
dealing with a lot of temptations.
Mhm.
What's your POV on men versus women handling their temptations and addressing them as traumatic experiences?
Yeah, that's really good. I look at two things, Corey. I look at
Yeah.
boundaries and I look at values.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we
Okay.
talk about boundaries and values,
Okay.
is a temptation going to cross either of those two things to
Okay.
where it becomes trauma?
Okay.
If the temptation crosses one of those two things, your boundaries and your values, it may lead to your trauma, and it may lead to
Mm,
you being sorry. I wrote something earlier today.
mhm,
Sometimes a lesson is not doing the same thing over and over again. And so recognize you got boundaries on one side and values on another side.
mhm.
And if the temptation crosses those things, you might want to be careful
Oof.
because it can turn into some type of traumatic event.
And you're right. I totally feel that you're right because folks tend to. I noticed that, and this is just society as a whole. I feel like right now, social media is one of the key. Well, let me not say key. One of the mm, main factors, contributing factors, leading to temptation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like folks are like, well, this is quote unquote, and just being blunt, being frank rather.
Mhm.
It's just feel that, well, this is my outlet. This is how I escape
Uh-huh.
from what I feel. You know what I'm saying? So let me go into this temptation rather than resolve it. And then you start walking around with this open wound,
Mm,
and
mm,
you like, okay, what's going on here? And then it's like the wound remains open, and you
mhm,
just still craving that particular thing, that temptation is constantly tempting you over and over and over again.
mhm,
And then that whole time, that traumatic, that trauma rather, has turned into a traumatic experience, and then it becomes in plural form, traumatic experiences. And then it's like you're turned into this vulture,
mhm, mhm,
almost, to where you're constantly, you're still in temptation,
mhm.
you filled with trauma, but now that you're this vulture, it's like you're seeking other prey for you to like latch on to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I want to venture out of the whole therapy aspect, but
Mhm,
before I do, I want to say, I want to ask you this, Dr. K.
mhm,
That vulture mindset
mhm,
is a very lethal and dangerous mindset.
mhm.
Um, Briefly describe to us, what would that look like, navigating
Mhm.
someone out of that into the healing process, because that's a 911 situation to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would first begin with behavioral therapy. We call it cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
CBT, for all you healers out there. Um, Talking about that, definitely talking about the intrusive thoughts. What led you to the situation? What are the thoughts that um, are helping you to get to this vulture, quote unquote,
Hmm.
behavior? And then, of course, I would also let's talk about your parents. Let's talk about your
Hmm.
family. Like,
Hmm.
what what happened? What are some surrounding factors that allowed you to get to this particular point? Or was it a decision that you made? And we talk about those things, and we talk about, like you mentioned, we talk about the the what did we talk about earlier? I'm having a brain fart. The coping mechanisms.
Coping mechanisms.
Yeah. And then we also talk about, you know, um, ways in which you can separate yourself from, this particular situation. I'll give you a real quick and good example. I have a
Hmm.
client who just came back to me. Uh,
Hmm.
this was, oh goodness. Um, she and I had been seeing each other for about a year and a half.
Hmm.
And she has obsessive compulsive disorder.
Okay.
And what we were talking about is understanding those intrusive thoughts and what leads her to want to do certain things obsessively, compulsively.
Hmm.
Long story short, um, one of the things that we're working on significantly is focusing on those intrusive thoughts, focusing on how those intrusive thoughts, are they real? Are they not real? And how they dictate her vulture behavior to the
Hmm.
extent of remaining in an abusive relationship when obviously there's no need to remain in that abusive relationship.
Wow. 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 Okay. I'm not even gonna touch that one. I'm gonna go ahead and
Mhm.
navigate through the next topic. Um, First, Dr. K, I salute you because there are, when you look at statistics for therapists, especially black male therapists, it's not a large percentage, though I feel regardless of what the percentage is that y'all matter.
Yeah.
And I just have to salute y'all because I could only imagine the different individuals that you come across on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. But with all that to say, how does a therapist have self care?
Oof.
Like, you deal with everybody, and when you turn that switch off, which I'm sure it doesn't ever turn off because it's still wondering, in your head, you see these movies and whatnot about therapists and all of this stuff and whatnot, but we not even getting into that. But I want to just address for a second, how does Dr. K have self care and how often do you have self care? Because most people think, yeah, therapy is a form of self care, but
Mhm.
my definition of self care may not be the same definition as someone else's.
Mhm.
So, what does self care look like for Dr. K?
Oh, that's a good question. It's intentional. It's intentional. That's
Okay,
number one. It's
okay,
intentional.
okay, okay.
And then we talked about boundaries and values earlier, recognizing what your boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, it's working out. For me, it's having a shopping day. I did that Saturday.
Okay.
Having a shopping day. For me, it's leaning into people like yourself, people that like, some really good friends who are able to really and truthfully carry the weight and help you kind of decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a variety of things. There's no one way to do it, but for me, um, and you and I talk about this on a regular basis, is leaning into our spiritual lives as well. Because
Definitely.
yeah, that's the Bible talks about, "Come to me, all you who are heavy laden and burdened, and I will give you rest."
Come on, you
That's
better
true.
say the word. Come on,
Yeah,
come
that's
on.
true. So you got to be able to have a variety of things to be able to do, but really and truthfully, being intentional is
Mhm.
probably primary. That you're gonna rest, you're gonna have self care.
Intentionality is very important, and I feel like people feel that when you don't give yourself self-care, that, oh, I'm on my grind, 25
Hmm.
8, no sleep, and I'm like, that's foolish. That makes no
Yeah.
sense. Like, and you wondering why you so drained because you're not taking breaks. What are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to prove something to? Those people are
Hmm.
sleeping, baby. You got these big old bags under your eyes, and you wondering why you got these bags under your eyes, and you thinking, oh, I drunk a Red Bull, now I'm gonna bounce up, baby. No, like, that's not gonna cut it. Like, you gonna get all that energy and then you're gonna crash, So, aside from self-care, I feel that loving yourself is very important. And one of my key things that I all the time discuss over and over again, I feel that there's four aspects to wholeheartedly loving yourself, and that's mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally.
Hmm.
And hearing you speak in reference to having your Christian lifestyle, having your spiritual relationship with God is very, very important. And I totally have a personal relationship with God.
Oh yeah.
So I want to ask you, before we wrap up today's episode,
Mhm.
what what does loving yourself wholeheartedly look like for you?
So funny that you said that. Um, Being able to really and truthfully um, analyze,
Hmm.
somewhat critique, and accept your flaws.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really, really good.
Accept
And
your shortcomings.
and with all of that, from your self care and loving yourself,
Hmm.
how does a therapist find love? Like, I could only imagine a dating lifestyle. It's no way. Cause you, like, on a date, like, I could just imagine a scenario. And they, and it's normal to me. I'm noticing that people is like, they go on a first date and they talking about their past, or they talking about
Yep.
something that they going through, or they talking about an ex,
Yep.
and you're like, oh, and then you, without you realizing, you fall into therapist mode.
Yep.
So, what is what does that look like? Like, do you even bother dating? Like, cause I mean, oof, I'll be like, don't talk. Just sit here and just drink. Just eat your food. Don't even
Look
say.
pretty.
So how does a therapist date without falling into that therapist mode all over again?
Recognize your humanity. Recognize your
Oh,
humanity.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's what I do, but it's not who I am.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And allow yourself to really be vulnerable, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that we teach.
All right.
Allow yourself to have fun, to be in the
Yeah.
moment, as opposed to, you know, being in therapist where you're analyzing every single thing.
All right.
No, no.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So before we close, Aaron, those that may be watching, they want to keep in contact with you, or may want to schedule an appointment with you. How can they follow up with you?
Absolutely. Dr. Aaron J, the R.AARONJY on Instagram, Aaron Kimble on Facebook. Trying to think of the other ones. I have a Twitter, which is Dr. Aaron J as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's it. And of course, you can definitely reach me on the Whole Heart website, Whole Heart Psychotherapy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's Whole Heart Psychotherapy, one word, .net.
And you're based out of
Atlanta, Georgia.
ATL, baby. We got ATL on the broadcast. Holding it down. You from Louisiana, but he in the ATL, y'all. So y'all ATL people, y'all better show Dr. Aaron, Dr. K some love. That's right. Y'all better go and show. Now, some may be asking, what's the difference between therapist and a life coach?
Hmm.
Do we need to touch that, or they
Sure.
should know the difference?
Life coach is able to know, and you should know the difference. Life coach is able to give advice. Life coach is literally what it says. You're coaching. Um, a therapist is someone who is trained specifically. Not that life coaches aren't. That
Mhm.
we're specifically trained on different types of interventions, and we have continuous training in order to be able to assist our clients.
That man got wisdom. I'm telling you, that's TC Carson twin. I'm telling you. TC, you better be. I'm going to send this broadcast to you. I'm sending it
Beautiful.
personally to you and your team. Like, we got to make this happen. Look, let me put y'all both on the couch. Let's switch the roles, okay?
Yeah.
Let me just let's do this interview. Well, Dr. K, thank you again for being a part of the
Yeah.
To Be Frank fam. We really appreciate you being on today's show. Y'all heard it first. He gave y'all all the information to follow him. Do what you gotta do. Self care matters, y'all. Having a therapist counts. Let me say that again. Having a therapist counts.
Hmm.
Don't be, don't shortchange yourself and think that having a therapist makes you less than. It makes you greater than because you're addressing yourself. You're healing yourself. You're connecting with someone that's helping you navigate your journey and you're writing your story. And what's the better way to write your story than connecting with someone that is helping you be the author that you're supposed to be? I'm your boy, Corey J, and this is a wrap for another episode of To Be Frank. Frankly speaking, it had to be said. We're out. Peace.